You want to find that drive and focus that has you locked in and on fire every single day? My book, The Mirror of Motivation, will do it for you. I bought a copy for you. You take care of the shipping. The book is free. Click the link down there. I got you.
DreAllDay.com.
You just got 1% better by tuning in. Just by the act of tuning in to the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there even when the success you expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. This is the go-getter energy that moves you to make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. We put all this together into one package. What you get is the mindset, the method, the podcast, the philosophy, the book. If you don't have the book, get it. It's called Work on Your Game podcast too. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day. Welcome to the show. Today's topic is how to keep your hopes alive. I was looking through the master list of every episode I've ever done of the Work on Your Game podcast, and I've never done an episode on hope. And there's a reason for that. The reason why I never did an episode on hope, because hope is not strategy. Hope and strategy are not the same things, and that's something that I'm going to talk about in a future episode. We're going to talk a little bit more about strategy, but hope does matter. I wrote an article about hope in probably about mid-October. If you're not on my email list, you should be on it. Go to workonmygame.com. And I wrote about hope because oftentimes when people feel, let's say, depressed, or you think you're depressed, or maybe you're clinically depressed, or you're just not feeling excited about anything in life, usually that happens when we have no hope. There's nothing that we are looking forward to in our futures. There's nothing that we can say, you know what, maybe things aren't great right now, but tomorrow this is happening, or next week this, or 3 years from now I'm going to have that. When we have no hope whatsoever, that's when we start to go into a downward spiral. And that's why I'm talking about hope here today. How to keep your hope alive, even though you may think there is no reason. There's nothing in your life going on right now that gives you any reason for hope. That's what we're going to talk about here today. So hopefully I can change that mindset. Let's get a definition of this word hope, so we're all on the same page. It's defined as a feeling of expectation and a desire for a certain thing to happen. Feeling of expectation and a desire for a certain thing to happen. Now understand, hope is not a strategy, and hope is not the same as strategy, because even though the end game of both is something happening, hope and strategy work two completely different ways. So today we're going to talk about hope, and in the near future we're going to be talking about strategy. But hope still, even though it's not strategy, it does have its place in life. And I already explained to you where the angle that I'm coming from and why I'm talking about this. Hope is the blind belief that something good is going to occur in the future. All right, so you're not necessarily doing anything to increase the odds of something great happening in the future, but you just have this belief that something good is going to happen in the future. Hope is what keeps us alive when things are looking bad. And all of us have been in situations in life. Maybe you're in one right now when things are not looking too great for you. But the reason why you keep waking up every day and showing up every day and doing what you need to do is because there has to be at least some, even if it's very tiny, glimmer of hope within you that things are going to go the way that you want them to go. People end up, these days we talk about mental health is a big thing these days. And you could consider some of the content of this podcast to be mental health. I mean, we're talking about the mental game, period. And if you step up your discipline, your confidence, your mental toughness, and exercise personal initiative, I'm going to guarantee that your mental health will be in a better space in doing that than if you didn't do it. Well, while mental health is a big thing these days, I mean, we've heard stories of people who have committed suicide. Maybe, I'm sure there's at least one person listening to the show has had someone close to them commit suicide. And often it happens, we don't know 100% because we don't get to talk to the person because they're not around anymore. But people do that when they have no hope. They have no reason to have hope. They don't see anything in their future, immediate future, or maybe even a distant future that they are looking forward to. There's no expectation or desire for anything positive. Therefore, they're like, what's the purpose of even being here? And that's when things don't go the way that we probably hope they would go for that person. No pun intended. So let's get into today's topic, which is how to keep your hopes alive. Again, the definition: feeling of expectation and desire for a certain thing to happen. Point number one. You want to keep your hopes alive, you must give yourself many ways to win. Now, what do I mean by win? Well, I mean, the answer is what you mean by win. What is a win for you? What is that certain thing that you would be desiring and expecting to happen in the future in your life? That's the win. If the win is get a certain job, if the win is make the football team, if the win is get a scholarship to go to college, if the win is start your business, if the win is making a certain amount of money, what is that thing that you want to win at? My first point here is give yourself as many ways as possible to achieve that outcome. Because every single way that you come up with, every option that you give yourself to achieve that win, whatever it is, and it may be more than one of them, you're giving yourself more reasons to hope. If I have one way of achieving my outcome, now I got one hope, one reason to hope. And maybe it's a really strong one, but what if that one doesn't work out? Now what? I might need to come up with another one, or I might not have anymore. It might be the only idea I have. But the more ways you give yourself to win, the more reasons you have for hope. So then if 3 of them aren't working out, you still got 10 more to work on. And this can happen in one of 2 ways. You can either have so many hustles going on that only one of them needs to work out for you to get your win, whatever that win is, or you could have a whole bunch of different ways to achieve one specific outcome. So let's say you're trying to start a business and you don't know what kind of business you want to start, but you know you want to start a business. So you might try out 7 different things at the same time to see which one of them is the marketplace responding to, which one am I good at, which one can I make a product that people actually like, that's actually worth more than what I'm charging for it. And maybe only one of those 7 actually turns out to be the right answer to that. But boom, there's your business idea. You won because you got 7 different ways of doing it. But if you only have one way, you might not get it. It might not work that one way. And now you're back to the drawing board. And the other way is, let's say that your goal is to start a hot dog cart business. You want to start a hot dog cart. Now, you might not know exactly how to do it. So you might try to just boil some hot dogs, put them inside a Tupperware bowl wrap them up with some foil with the bun, and then just go around selling your hot dogs for $1 a piece. Maybe that'll work, maybe it won't. But what if you try 10 different ways of starting a hot dog cart? Because the end goal is starting a hot dog cart. That's the business that you decided to get in. If you try 10 different ways of doing it, maybe 2 or 3 of them will work, and you can combine those, and that's the way you run your business. So this is the way you can give yourself multiple angles for achieving your outcome, even if you may not know exactly what you have a general idea of the outcome, or you have a specific idea of the outcome. You can work it from either angle, or you can choose somewhere in between the two. A bunch of ways to achieve a general outcome, or a bunch of ways to achieve a specific outcome, or again, some hybrid in between all of those. The more ways you have going for reaching your outcome, your win, your success, the more reasons you have to have hope for the future. That's simple enough, right? When I was trying to get on playing ball, the first thing that I did after I'm finished college, I'm trying to get on, is I tried to acquire some game footage. So I started reaching out to the schools that I had played against in college, where I knew I had some good games, I knew I had some highlights, and I started calling those coaches from rival schools and telling them who I was and asking them about game footage. That was one thing that I did. Another thing is I started looking up local tryouts for local semi-pro basketball teams. I figured if I wasn't going to get on in pro basketball immediately, if it didn't happen, I could at least play semi-pro, I could at least have something going on. So I started looking for tryouts for semi-pro basketball teams. Then I started looking at possible exposure camps that I could go to. Then I started looking at ways that I could contact agents and maybe sell myself. Then I started looking at ways that I don't even know what else I did. But I gave myself several different options. I was trying everything that I could think of. I was giving myself options for achieving that outcome, and each one of those gave me hope. Every time I sent an email to a coach that I had played against in college, it gave me hope that one of them would have some game footage that I could utilize to make myself look good to these scouts and agents who were in the pro basketball world. Every time I signed up for an exposure camp, I was giving myself hope that my performance at that exposure camp would help me get on into pro basketball. Every time I created a new highlight film of myself, I was giving myself hope that this highlight footage would get seen by the right person who could help sign me to a contract and get me on or continue my career when I was playing pro ball. So every option that I exercised, every idea that I came up with, it was giving me another reason for hope. So ideas are the seedlings of hope. The more ideas you have, the more ways you're going to come up with, more ways that you will be hopeful, because you got more things that could possibly work. Every idea is another thing that could possibly work for you. You should listen to my episodes on ideas, which again are available to you in your game group membership if you want to figure out how you can get better at coming up with ideas on a consistent basis. You wonder why this podcast has as many episodes as it has because I have conditioned myself, trained myself to come up with ideas, and I've shared with you exactly how I do it and how you can do it for yourself. So give yourself as many ways as possible for reaching your outcome, because each one of them is another reason to hope. Point number 2, today's topic is how to keep your hopes alive even when things don't look too great. Get up off your ass and do something. This is the second point. You want to keep hope alive. The worst thing you can do is sit on the couch and do nothing. It is really hard to feel hopeful about your future when you are not active in creating your future. Actions in the present are the seedlings of future results. I'll say that one more time. Listen closely. Actions taken in the present are the seedlings of future results. So even if you feel like you're winning by a lot today, if you're not taking any actions today to get you ready for your future, you might end up starving tomorrow. You might be eating really good today, but if you're not doing anything today to plant seeds for tomorrow's dinner, then you might not eat tomorrow. So don't get too fat and comfortable on the success of today, because you still got to eat tomorrow and the day after that, and hopefully you'll be allowed to need to eat the day after that. So stay active, even if you're winning. And if you are starving today, nothing's working, and you didn't do anything yesterday, and you're starving today, you need to find the energy to take some action now so that you won't be hungry again tomorrow. So you don't have to go through this problem all over again. So if your problem right now is you don't have any opportunity, the worst thing you could do is sit around and feel bad for yourself about not having opportunity, because tomorrow you're going to have the same problem all over again. That's a perpetuating cycle. So actions that you take today, actions that you take right now, again, they plant the seeds for the success that you might have tomorrow. You want to keep hope alive, go do something, go get active. It's hard to feel hopeful when you're sitting around doing absolutely nothing, just wallowing in your sadness and your despair and the fact that you don't have this and this is not working and somebody didn't do that. It's hard to feel hopeful when that's all you got to think about. If you're doing something, then you got to think about the thing that you're doing. At least get your mind off what's not working and get your mind on what might work, and you got to try something for something to possibly work. To have something that might work, you have to actually be doing something. Everybody agrees with that? Point number 3. Today's topic is how to keep your hopes alive, even when things may not be looking too great. Third thing you got to do is strategize. And as I already told you, we're going to do a whole episode just on strategizing alone. But just because hope is not a strategy, it doesn't mean that you cannot incorporate strategy into your hopes. So when you strategize, you're giving yourself more reasons to hope for that future outcome, whatever it may be. Strategy, if I was to just simplify it down, it means planning. To strategize is to put a plan in place. Now, we could get more detailed on what strategizing means, but we're going to keep it that simple, at least for today's episode. When you invest time into making a plan, putting something together for yourself, you have a reasonable expectation that the plan is going to produce a result, right? You make a plan, or you reasonably expect, all right, if I execute on this plan, I'm going to get the outcome that I want. And the more thorough you're strategizing, the more thorough you are when it comes to your planning, the more branches you build into that tree, that decision tree of the plan that you're putting together, the more that your hope will solidify into pure expectation. Now think about this one, because strategy factors in the possibility that no plan is perfect. That's what strategizing does. Strategizing does not mean everything's going to work out. Strategizing takes into account the fact that just because you made a plan doesn't mean the plan is going to work. So strategy says, okay, we're going to do A, B, and C. And if point C does not go exactly how we thought it was going to go, we're going to have D, E, and F as contingency plans. So if C doesn't work the right way, then we'll do D, then we'll try E, and we'll try F. Maybe we'll try all three at the same time and see which one works. But if something doesn't work here, we have options. We have contingencies in place just in case. That's what strategy is about. Is understanding the big picture of what you're trying to achieve, is not expecting a plan to be perfect and everything to work out, because I've yet to meet a human who's made a perfect plan and everything worked out perfectly. Strategy is just considering the fact that yes, we're going to plan, but at the same time, we know this may not go exactly as we expect. But when you invest time into even making a plan, you have a reasonable expectation. And the more time you put into that plan, probably the more reasonable your expectation will be, because you'll think a little bit harder, maybe criticize yourself a little bit more constructively, or criticize your plan a little bit more constructively. Have somebody else, another set of eyes, look at your plan and pick it apart a little bit and figure out where the holes are in your plan and your strategy. These all give you more reasons to hope. The more time you invest in what you're doing, whether that be planning it, executing it, coming up with ideas for it, just getting better at doing it, developing the skills, investing in your knowledge, curing your ignorance. The more time you invest into something, the more money you invest, the more attention, focus, and energy you invest into any future outcome that you are after, the more reasons you have for hope, because you know you are closing some of those gaps. You're filling in some of those holes. You're getting rid of some of the problems. Some of the broken areas, you're fixing them because you're investing in it. Every investment that you make is putting you in a better position to achieve that future outcome, as long as you have some idea, some vague idea of what the hell you're doing. This puts you in a better position, right? So that's where strategy comes into place. So strategy fuels hope. More strategy gives you more reason to hope. And then it's not just blind belief. That's what hope is, just blind belief that something good is going to happen. The more you strategize and the more you plan, the more vision you bring to that blindness. Okay, so it's like the Ray Charles movie that I mentioned a couple episodes ago. You're taking it in the opposite direction. So instead of going from being able to see clearly to not seeing anything, you go from seeing nothing, because that's hope is just blind strategy. You see absolutely nothing, so you actually start to get a picture of where things are going. And then you can kind of, in some ways, you can start to control it. When we do our episode on strategy, you'll understand that a little bit better. But this is how strategy can be incorporated and help you hope a little bit more. The more you strategize, the better you'll feel hope. And when you feel hope, you have a reason to keep going. You have a reason to keep trying. You have a reason to feel some glimmer of positivity, even when things have not been working out for you in the present moment, or maybe the whole moment, every moment up until this point. So let's recap today's topic, which is how to keep your hopes alive. The definition of hope is a feeling of expectation and a desire for a certain thing to happen. Now, again, hope is not the same as strategy, but it does have its place, because it's blind belief that something good will occur in the future. When people believe something good will occur in the future, we have a reason to keep going, a reason to keep trying, a reason to keep investing, because we think something good is going to happen. And when people stop feeling like anything good is going to happen in the future, that's when they start to go into a downward spiral that I don't want anyone going into. So let's recap our points. Number one, give yourself as many ways to win as possible. That means either have as many hustles going that only one of them needs to hit to be great for you, or have a lot of different ways to reach one specific outcome, or some combination of both, somewhere in between. The more ways you have going for reaching your outcome, the more reasons you have to feel hopeful for your future. Point number two, get up off your ass and do something. It's hard to feel hopeful about your future when you're not active in creating it. Actions in the present are the seeds of future results. So even if you are winning today, if you don't take any actions to plan for tomorrow, you might be hungry tomorrow. And if you're hungry right now, find the energy to take some action now so you're not hungry again tomorrow. Point number three, strategize. Just because hope is not strategy doesn't mean you cannot incorporate strategy into your hopes, or utilize strategy to give you more hope, is a better way of putting it. Strategy, let's just call it planning for the sake of today's topic. When you invest time into making a plan, you have given yourself a more reasonable expectation that your plan will produce a result. And the more thorough you're strategizing and planning, the more that hope will solidify into pure expectation, simply because you get a clearer picture of where you're going the more you plan. The more you strategize, you have a better idea of how things are going to go, or how things could go. That's where hope starts to become strategy, when you put a little bit more resources, specifically attention, focus, and energy and time, into where this hope is taking me. What exactly do I want to happen, and how can I do things that would actually better the chances of my desired outcome occurring? Strategy factors in the possibility that no plan is perfect. And when we do our episode on strategy, you'll learn a whole lot more about how that works. Now, in the game group membership, we have a category on competition, another one on communication, another one on business, another one on dealing with other people. And we have some courses that I've talked about the Toughen Up course. We had the Sell Yourself course. We had the 25 hours course. We had the Raise Your Value course. We got the Unapologetic course. And we got a whole lot of other stuff in there. More courses that are on the way, and other courses that I haven't even mentioned that are in there right now. All of those are fully accessible at no additional charge to you as a member of the game group. Every episode of this podcast that has ever come out, all is in there. That's over 800 hours of material, 1,300 episodes, a bunch of videos that I've put out online that you may not have seen before, things that I pulled out of the archives, videos and content that I've curated from around the internet that is not made by me. commentary videos on some things that I've done that maybe you've seen in the past, my commentary on how they came to be, why they came to be, what I would do differently if I was doing them over. All of that's in the game group membership. I just want you to go over there, take the 2-week trial to game group membership so you can see and feel exactly what's in there, exactly what it's like. So I don't have to keep telling you what's in there. You can see it for yourself. And once you get in there, you will remain a member of the game group. Trust me, because there is no one on the internet who does what I do. All right, this is not the best version of anything. It's not better than anybody else's. There's nothing else similar to this. There's nobody else who can offer this. There's nobody else who can create what I create. No one else who has done it, and nobody else who will. So go to workonmygame.com/game group. Get your game group 2-week trial. See exactly what's in there. Understand what you're getting in there. Understand the value of it. And I won't have to say anything else once you see it for yourself. Work on your game. Dre all day.